Hello, how are you today? I hope you're well. My name is Harry and this is Learn English with British Harry. I am British and I have taught thousands of students and I've helped them to improve their level of English. In this lesson, I wanted to talk to you about sickness and illness. At the moment, I am feeling a bit under the weather. When someone is a bit under the weather, they're not feeling at their best. They're not feeling 100%. So as you can hear in my voice, it doesn't sound clear, but I really wanted to make this video for you and I thought this is a better time as any to create it. So to feel under the weather, it's not anything serious. You will start to feel better soon. So I would describe it as a mild illness, something like a cold or a headache or a fever, but you will recover soon. I'm feeling a bit under the weather today, so I might skip the meeting. So he's not feeling at his best, so he's going to skip the meeting. So he's going to miss the meeting, let everyone know, hey, I'm not feeling well, can we rearrange to another time? She was feeling under the weather yesterday, but she's feeling much better now. So she may have had time to rest, recover, maybe have some medication, and now she's feeling better the next day. You could also use the phrase, I'm feeling poorly. So when you're feeling poorly, it's similar to feeling under the weather. Again, it's nothing serious, but you're not feeling at your best. You could say, I'm not feeling great, or I'm feeling a bit rough. Rough is, if you think about something which is rough, it's the opposite to smooth. If it's smooth, for example, if the road is smooth, it's easy to drive on. But if the road has holes in the road or rocks, it's very difficult to drive and it makes it difficult. If you are feeling rough, you are feeling under the weather and you're not feeling at your best again. You could also say, I'm a bit off color. So if you're off color, you're not feeling normal, you're not feeling your normal self. So maybe when a person is feeling sick, they may look a bit paler than usual. This is because their immune system is working in overdrive. So your immune system is what keeps you healthy. Having things like vitamin C, lots of fruit and vegetables can keep your immune system working very well. So it can fight off the bacteria and get you feeling better quickly. Or a very informal slang phrase is, I'm feeling a bit rubbish today. So rubbish in the UK is trash in America. So rubbish is something that you throw away. So when you're feeling a bit rubbish, you're not feeling at your best. I'm not feeling up to par. This is a golf terminology. I don't really play golf, but in golf we use the word par. So when you're not feeling up to par, you're not feeling good. You're not feeling like you are able to perform well. A very common one is, I'm not feeling myself. Again, if you are feeling yourself, then you are feeling good. You're able to carry on the normal day-to-day activities. But when you're not feeling yourself, you may be feeling unwell. So this affects how you can carry out your day-to-day living. I have the sniffles at the moment. So the sniffles, this is a very informal term. If someone has the sniffles, won't stop running. So they have to use a tissue to constantly wipe their nose. Nasal congestion. This is when it's hard to breathe because your nose is blocked. So here, nasal refers to the nose. An informal way to say this is a stuffy nose. If something is stuffy, then it's blocked. If you think about a stuffed toy, a stuffed cuddly toy, it's full of this white material, so it's stuffed. So if you have a stuffy nose, it's blocked and it makes it difficult to breathe. An informal way to say this is congested. So congested is your nose is blocked. You can also use this word in traffic. If there's the traffic is really congested, there's nowhere to move and all the cars are parked behind each other waiting for the traffic to move. It's very congested. So here in your nose is congested and it's hard again to breathe. Bunged up, again, an informal phrase to use, and it means that your nose is blocked. My nose is bunged up. Blocked sinuses. This is a nice way to describe a blocked nose. So if you go to the pharmacy or if you're speaking to the doctor, you can explain to him, I think my sinuses are blocked. Sinuses are hollow spaces in the bones of your face, around your nose, your eyes, and your forehead. They help your nose by making mucus to trap the bacteria and the germs to help your body to get rid of these. When you have a cold or if you have allergies, this can exacerbate your sinuses and it can make you feel dizzy. It can give you a headache as well. Feeling light-headed. This is when you feel like you may faint. It can also happen if you stand up very quickly and you start to feel a bit dizzy and you have to sit back down. So it's something to really pay attention to and to make sure that you're not feeling lightheaded or feeling dizzy, especially when it comes to driving, for example. So you have to take it nice and slow and look after yourself. Feeling nauseous. Nauseous is an uncomfortable feeling in your stomach. You feel like you may be sick, that you may vomit. This can happen when you're feeling sick or unwell. It can also happen if you're feeling anxious. You may be really worried about something. So you may have a feeling in your stomach. You're feeling nauseous. You may feel unbalanced and you have to sit down. A headache. A headache. This is when, yes, your head hurts and you have a headache. You can also say a splitting headache. This is worse than a normal headache. If you think about the word splitting, if you split a piece of wood in half and you're describing how your head feels like it's splitting in half, so it just adds a bit more color, emphasis to the fact that it's not a normal headache, it's a splitting headache. You can also have a pounding headache. To pound something, if you have a hammer, if you're hitting the nail really hard, then you're pounding the nail. If you have a pounding headache, it feels like your head is throbbing, and again, this is not a normal headache. So these are nice words because you can describe to the pharmacist that it's not a normal headache, so they can understand, maybe you need some stronger medication. Throbbing, you could use this again with pounding. I have a throbbing headache, so it's like it's feeling like it's constant. If someone is playing really loud music and you can feel those vibrations on the wall, it's kind of like how it feels inside your head. A stomach ache. This is when your stomach is hurting, doesn't feel good. You can have an upset tummy. A tummy is an informal word for stomach. So you can say a tummy ache. You can say a dodgy tummy if your stomach is really hurting and it's affecting you really badly. I have a dodgy tummy. This can also happen if you eat food that gives you food poisoning. So these are more relaxed and informal words to use instead of a stomach ache. Cough. A cough, you can have many different types of cough. You can have a dry cough. You could have a chesty cough. And when you go to the pharmacy or the doctors, you can let them know what type of cough it is so they can help you. Now, there are lots of natural remedies that you can use. For example, hot water with lemon and ginger is really nice. And let me know in the comments below, are there any natural remedies that you like to try, or do you take traditional medication when you're not feeling well? For example, if you have a cold, is there anything that you could recommend that I try? A fever. Another way to say this is burning up. I'm burning up. It's more descriptive than saying a fever. You feel very, very hot, like you're burning. I like to think of like a fire, and you're throwing wood into the fire and it just keeps getting brighter and bigger. So that's burning up. Feeling hot and cold. This is a way to describe a fever as well. If you're feeling hot and cold, it may not be as severe as boiling up, as it's not constant. So you may feel better at times when you're feeling cold. But again, it's really important to speak to the doctor so they can hear your symptoms. Stiff and sore. You may have a stiff neck or sore shoulders, and this is when your body feels tight. You may have some niggles. So a niggle is like an exact point where you don't feel right. It feels like something is a bit strange. For example, I have a niggle in my shoulder. So when I turn my shoulder in a certain way, I feel it at that point. At other points, it's perfectly fine. Another way to say this is a twinge. I have a twinge in my knee, for example. So if I move my knee at a certain point, then I feel a twinge. So this way you can describe to the doctor exactly at what point it hurts. If you haven't already, please have a look at my fantastic ebook. I've created it especially for you. There are 5 brilliant tips to help you to improve your English. There are practical exercises that you can use straight away, and it will help you to improve your level of English. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Have a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next lesson. Bye-bye. I have recently joined the gym after a prolonged absence of consistent exercise, and I wanted to talk to you about health and fitness. Is being healthy and being fit, is it something which is important to you? I find that it's really important in terms of my life and feeling good about myself. And going back to the gym after a break, I feel incredibly sore, but I've started to see some improvements. But I'm not really a beginner to the gym. I've been exercising for some time, but I've noticed that as I get older, it's more difficult to lose weight. I can't do the same things that I did 20 years ago and expect to see the same results. 20 years ago, I could eat junk food and then I could exercise for a few days and then immediately lose the weight. But now I find that it's incredibly difficult, and I actually have to start thinking about my diet a lot more. And I'm getting more aches and pains, especially my knee has started to crack when I'm standing up. It'll be interesting to know if you take any multivitamins or any supplements in your health regime. At the moment, I'm doing a push-pull legs routine. So on one day, I would do push exercises. The next day, pulling exercises. Then the next day after that would be legs. And then after that, if I can manage it, maybe some general cardio or working on the abs and core muscles. There are lots of buzzwords that have developed over the years in health and fitness, especially core. Having a strong core is very important, and you hear that all the time. I remember when I was younger, I used to be obsessed with Bruce Lee. I used to love watching his movies. I even had the box set of his films on VHS, on cassette players. So this is going back a number of years. I even had his books and I was a member of the Bruce Lee fan club. I was really inspired by his story, and he used to talk about having a strong core. This is in the 60s and the 70s, but it's become very common to think about having a strong core, and that's where all of your movements come from. So I try to incorporate some of those exercises. I don't actually mind doing legs. I know there's a stereotype with bodybuilders that you would see big bodybuilders with big shoulders and big arms and then small legs. But I think training the legs, I think it's very functional. By functional, I mean that it helps you, especially as you get older. One of the worst things that can happen is to have a fall. If you fall over when you're older, it can cause a lot of health problems. It can exacerbate health problems. It can make it worse. So by having strong legs and having good stability, and I think helps with your coordination and your balance, I think that's really important. So for yourself, do you follow any kind of health or fitness routine rather? Do you go to the gym? If you do, it'd be interesting to know what kind of exercises you do. Are you doing weights? Are you doing cardio? Are you playing a certain type of sport? How often do you do that type of sport? I love martial arts, and at some point I would love to go back to it, but initially I just wanted to improve my general fitness. I remember when I was younger, I really wanted to do karate, but my mum said no and wouldn't pay for the lessons. So I had to wait until I got a part-time job when I was 16 and saved up. And at that time, I was earning a grand sum of, I think it was £2 an hour. So I would work on a Saturday and a Sunday. And my first job was working in a pharmacy, a local pharmacy. And it was hard work. It was a shock to the system having to work long hours, but I loved receiving the paycheck. It was an amazing feeling. And then I started to use that money to train in martial arts, and I did that for a number of years, and even trained younger children. So I trained to be an assistant instructor. I was grateful to be selected as one of the assistant instructors. So I would teach the children's class and then do my normal class afterwards. And it was an amazing experience. It really brought me out of my shell and improved my confidence. But often I used to lose my voice shouting and then giving instructions to the children because it was quite noisy. So you had to make yourself heard. And that improved my confidence because I felt good about myself, good about helping these children to improve their confidence, and I loved it. And then progressing on to that, I went through some dips, some highs and lows in terms of fitness. And now I've made the decision to try to really focus on that. I find that it's easier for me to focus on my diet when I'm exercising and training rather than the other way around, because I remember the pain from going to the gym. If I've trained very hard in the gym, it's easier for me to say no to that chocolate cake. But if I haven't been exercising, I think it's okay. I can make justifications and think, okay, I'll train later, I can make up for it. But that piece of chocolate cake can turn into two, can turn into a bag of crisps. So it can start to spiral and escalate. So for me, it's really important to start exercising. And I think it helps with general sense of well-being, To supplement that, I try to walk as much as I can. I am considering buying a fitness tracker to count my steps, but there are so many out there. So I'm just researching that at the moment, and that may be a topic for a video in the future where I can go into more of the details, the pros and the cons. In terms of diet, I love my food. So it's quite interesting because when I was healthier, I ate food in purely in terms of being functional. So I would look at the food and see what nutrition is in the food. And yes, I would spice it up with some Tabasco sauce or some nice pepper, make it taste nice, but it was very functional. But after I got married, and well, actually, before I got married and we were dating and going to lots of restaurants and eating lots of food and discovering all of this amazing food and flavors, it's very easy to overindulge and overeating, especially during winter when it's cold. It's very easy to overeat. And I really want to have some consistency with my diet. I'm a pretty laid back person, so I'm not that hard on myself when it comes to this. So I'll allow myself to have cheat days, but I think having the mindset to be focused on that initially helps to reach my target weight. So, and this is a way to track that as well. So at the moment, I'm about 14 stone. If I convert that to kilograms, it's about 91 kilograms. And in the UK, stones are used as a measurement. I think it's about 6 kilograms to a stone. My ideal weight would be around 12 stone for my height. So I'm looking to lose 12 stone in, the shortest time possible, but I'm also being realistic. So maybe going into the new year, having lost a stone would be wonderful, even more. So that would be good. In the comments, let me know about your health and fitness. What do you think about it? Is it something you like to do? Is it something that you dread? This is about Forger Singh. He is the oldest man to have completed a marathon, a full marathon, at the age of 100 years old. So if we look at the article here, it's never too late to start doing what you love, and Forger Singh, a British Sikh marathon runner of Indian origin, embodies the statement. We have embodies. Embodies means to represent something in a clear and obvious way. Sentiment is an attitude or thought. So he embodies the fact that it's never too late to start doing what you love. Complete a marathon when you're 100 years old. That's simply amazing. Having taken up running to overcome grief at the age of 89, Forger Singh, now retired, has numerous records to his name in multiple age brackets. Originally a farmer from Punjab, the long-distance runner is also believed to be the oldest man to have completed a full marathon at the age of 100. We have the word grief here, which means very great sadness. So not just normal sadness, but it's a very, very strong feeling, grief. Retired. This means to have stopped working permanently. So the fact that he started at the age of 89, again, that's just simply amazing. So it's interesting to learn that he used exercise to help him to overcome this immense grief. So now he is retired. Good. So he should enjoy his retirement. The age of retirement varies from country to country. That's also another topic that we can go into in the future. Forger's childhood was not an easy one. He was not able to walk until he was 5 years old. Due to thin and weak legs, he could hardly walk long distances. As a young man, he took to farming to support his family. Wow, so this story gets even more interesting. The fact that he didn't start off being in fantastic physical shape. So he had to overcome these challenges from a really young age. In 1992, he moved to England and settled in East London with his son after his wife's death in Jalandhar. Settled, this means living somewhere, usually permanently. He made that big move to go to a different country, which in itself is another big challenge. Forja Singh took to running after the death of his fifth son in August 1994. He started jogging initially to overcome the grief. Wow, so that's immense sadness to lose a son. I can't imagine how he must have felt. It's quite easy to go into a spiral of depression when you have this immense grief. However, it was not until 2000 that Forja Singh, at the age of 89, decided to take up running seriously. He shot to fame when he completed the London Marathon that year, his maiden full marathon run, in 6 hours and 54 minutes. In the process, he knocked 58 minutes off the previous world's best in the 90-plus age bracket. So that time of 6 hours, 54 minutes for someone that's 89, I think that's simply amazing. I haven't done a marathon. It's on my bucket list. It's something that I would love to do in the future. I'm not sure if I could do it in under 7 hours. It may take me a bit longer than that. So shot to fame, this means to become famous or successful very quickly. In 2011, Forja Singh, at the age of 100, achieved 8 world age group records in a single day at the Special Ontario Masters Association Forja Singh Invitational Meet at Birchman Stadium in Toronto, Canada. Wow, so he achieved 8 world group records. I think his life story is simply amazing. The fact that he had to start off life being disadvantaged physically, having to go through immense grief with the death of his wife and moving to another country, then the death of his son, and then starting running and being an inspiration to others. I think it's just amazing, really. And I thought this story was very interesting because if we think about health and fitness, there are 2 aspects to it. We have the idea of being healthy and being fit, but it also connects to good mental health and keeping your emotions balanced. And sometimes it's very difficult when you're feeling down to actually start to exercise. It's quite easy to say, just go for a run. But when you're feeling down, it takes an enormous amount of energy just to even get your trainers on and get out the door, and then dealing with the elements if you're not in a sunny climate. So if the weather's really bad and it's raining, but you still run, I think it really makes you feel good. You have the runner's high, which is the positive feel-good hormones that are released afterwards and overcoming that challenge. but also having the support network. You can join a runner's group, you can connect with people, you can have apps on your phone where you can challenge people, you can keep record of your distance and your time. So it's really enjoyable. Actually, when I was younger, I used to love to run. I used to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning when the sun would come up and go for a run. And it was fantastic. I felt that I had achieved something before the day had even started. So it's an amazing thing to actually do. I wanted to show you this chart here. So a health survey for England in 2021 estimates that 25.9% of adults in England are obese, and a further 37.9% are overweight but not obese. Obesity is usually defined as having a body mass index, a BMI, of 30 or above. BMI between 25 and 30 is classified as overweight. And in this survey, it found that men are more likely than women to be overweight or obese. 68.6% of men compared to 59% of women. People aged 45 to 74 are most likely to be overweight or obese. I wonder why that could be. Why are people aged 45 and over more likely to be overweight? And I want you to think about some possible ideas. The ones that I can think of could be because of a sedentary lifestyle. So this means when you're not very active. So you've spent a long time working, traveling to work, so you're walking a lot. But as you're close to retirement, maybe you're having health problems. Maybe you physically cannot walk as much as you could. So this is quite interesting because I'm 42, so I'm approaching that age bracket. Also in denial about my age, but it's something which you can't change. It's catching up, and yes, age is just a number, but I would like to feel good when I'm at that age. So it's very interesting to see the percentages from 16 to 24. You have 72% at a healthy weight, and as the years increase, that number starts to decline. But it's quite interesting at 75 and over, it starts to increase slightly. That's quite interesting. Now, this idea of BMI, I'm wondering what your BMI is. There are a lot of BMI calculators out there. Now, this is not to be taken as something which is gospel that you should obsess over, because I think there are many other factors when you're thinking about health and fitness. But it's a good way, it's a good measuring stick to see where you are. So my BMI is 28.7. So I fall in that smack bang in the middle of the overweight category. So it's nice for me to know, because I can think, okay, I can have some measurable success. I can have some measurable way to see if I'm improving. But as I said before, when I go to the gym, I like to use weights. I do walk, but I prefer to do weights. So when you lift weights, you build more muscle, which will weigh more, and it may increase your weight. So when you're standing on the scale, you may be not dropping any weight, but that's because you're building muscle. So there are many factors to consider. It's very tailored to the individual. When I say tailored, it's very unique to each circumstance. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you would like to, you can listen to my first podcast. I really appreciate it. And please write down in the comments, even if it's a simple hello. I'd also like to know about your health and fitness regime. What do you think about this whole industry and how do you apply it to your life? How many times do you exercise? I think it's really nice to hear from you. Today, you're going to improve your C2 level vocabulary. You're going to learn the vocabulary with pronunciation and lots of examples. Let's start with some C2 level adjectives. Zealous, zealous. This has 2 syllables and the stress is on the first syllable zel, zealous. This means to show great energy or enthusiasm. She is zealous about protecting the environment. Pedantic, pedantic. The stress is on the second syllable dan, pedantic. This means to be overly concerned with small details. Her pedantic comments about grammar annoyed everyone. Acrimonious, acrimonious. The stress is on the third syllable mo, acrimonious. This means angry or bitter in tone or manner. Bitter is feeling angry or unhappy about things that happened in the past and you cannot forget. They had an acrimonious argument filled with anger and bitterness. Ubiquitous, ubiquitous. The stress is on the second syllable bic, ubiquitous. This means when everything seems to be everywhere at the same time. Smartphones have become ubiquitous in today's society with nearly everyone owning one. Belligerent, belligerent. The stress is on the second syllable lidge, belligerent. We also have the schwa sound, the sound, belligerent. This means to be ready to fight or argue. The belligerent man shouted insults at the man in the meeting. Magnanimous, magnanimous. The stress is on the second syllable nan, magnanimous. This means generous or forgiving, especially towards a rival or a less powerful opponent. He was magnanimous in victory, praising his opponent for a well-fought match. Ostentatious, ostentatious. The stress is on the third syllable, te, ostentatious. This means showing off in an exaggerated way. He drives an ostentatious sports car to impress his friends. Vindictive, vindictive. The stress is on the second syllable, so we have vindictive. This means having or showing a strong desire for revenge. She was vindictive towards her co-worker who got the promotion she wanted, spreading rumors to undermine her reputation. Surreptitious, surreptitious. Here the stress is on the third syllable tish, surreptitious. This means secretive or covert. She made a surreptitious exit from the party, effervescent, effervescent. Here the stress is on the second syllable ves, effervescent. This describes something or someone that is lively and full of energy or bubbly. Her effervescent personality always lights up the room whenever she enters. Convoluted, convoluted. The stress is on the first syllable convoluted. This means when something is overly complicated or detailed and it's difficult to follow. A convoluted legal document required hours of careful reading to figure out its meaning. Quintessential, quintessential. The stress is on the second syllable tes, quintessential. This means the most typical or perfect example of something. The red double-decker bus is seen as the quintessential symbol of London. Esoteric, esoteric. The stress is on the second syllable ter, esoteric. This describes something that is understood or appreciated by a small group of people that have specialist knowledge in that topic. The old book contained esoteric knowledge that only experts could understand. Impeccable, impeccable. The stress is on the second syllable pec, impeccable. This means flawless or perfect and something that doesn't have any mistakes. She had an impeccable sense of style, always dressing elegantly for every occasion. Exorbitant, exorbitant. The stress is on the second syllable zor, exorbitant. This means unreasonably excessive or high, especially with cost or price. The restaurant charged an excessive price for a simple meal. Palpable, palpable. The stress is on the first syllable pal, palpable. This is something that is so clear or intense that can almost be touched or felt. The excitement in the crowd was palpable as they waited for the band to sing their most popular song. Tenacious, tenacious. The stress is on the second syllable nay, tenacious. This describes someone who is persistent and determined and doesn't give up easily. Despite facing many challenges, she showed her tenacious spirit by continuing to pursue her dream of becoming an engineer. Ambiguous, ambiguous. The stress is on the second syllable big, ambiguous. This is when something is unclear or open to more than one interpretation. His ambiguous response left us unsure about his true intentions. Opulent, opulent. The stress is on the first syllable opulent. This means luxurious or extravagant and indicating wealth or abundance. The opulent mansion was decorated with marble floors and expensive chandeliers. Reticent, reticent. The stress is on the first syllable reticent. This is when someone is reserved or reluctant to express their true feelings. She is usually reticent in social situations, preferring to listen rather than speak. Well done, you did a great job. Now I want you to review these adjectives and try to think of new sentences. Hello friend, how are you today? I hope you are well. And today I'm going to give you 10 fun and crazy ways to learn English when you are by yourself. So when you are by yourself, you can narrate your life. When I say narrate, you can talk about your life. So for example, if you are going to the kitchen to make some breakfast, you can say out aloud, I am going to the kitchen to make some cereal. If you're opening the cupboard, you can say, now I am opening the cupboard, I am taking a bowl, I am pouring the cereal into the bowl, then I am adding the milk. So you may feel a bit strange doing this, but it's a very good way to practice your vocabulary, your action words, and describing the process that you are going through. Another way is to label everything. So you can buy yourself some post-it notes, these sticky labels, or you can even get a piece of paper, write down, use some sellotape, stick it onto the object. So if there's some words that you found difficult, you can label them. So you can stick a label on the microwave, the fridge, any object, or actually every object in your house. So this way, when you go to the object, you will see the word associated with that item. You can also use things like Siri. So you can talk to Siri, you can ask it, how is the weather today? And there are many other similar applications for different devices. I know Amazon has its own device. You can look for applications that do this. You can describe random pictures. This is fantastic. So you can think of a topic, for example, athletics. You can type in athletics into Google and describe the events. For example, is it a javelin? Is it a running event like 400 meters, for example? And you can try to describe that picture in as many details as possible. You can take it one step further and you can ask yourself, what is the person doing? So in the case of the javelin, the person is throwing the javelin. You can copy an English article. So you could go to BBC or Sky or any other news website, or it can be any website. You can copy a paragraph. So the action of copying, of actually writing down rather than typing,
I find to be very powerful. So you're making that connection between your brain and your hand. And when you're writing certain words, you may find, I'm not sure what this word means. Let me look it up. I can translate it from your native language to English, and that will help it to stick in your memory. Try talking to Google Docs. This is fantastic, especially if you want to narrate your life like we were talking about before. If you don't have time to do this, at the end of the day, sit down and talk to Google Docs. It will record your voice and you can say what I did today. So for example, I woke up nice and early, I went for a run, then I had some breakfast, and see if Google Docs can recognize your voice, and afterwards when you've finished, you can review it. So it's very helpful. Recording yourself is a brilliant thing to do. When you record yourself and watch yourself back, I know it may be difficult. Sometimes I find it difficult when I have to edit and I have to watch myself back, but it's a very good way to notice your pronunciation. When you're recording, try to talk quickly, because when you take your time, that's when you can get things perfectly. But when you're talking naturally about a topic that you may be interested in, for example, it could be AI, and there's a video that I've done on AI, so please have a look at that. Then you may find yourself making simple mistakes, and recording yourself is a nice way to catch this. Use Google Translate to practice your pronunciation. So if you have a word, type it into Google and you'll see the button to click with the mouth symbol, and it will say the word for you, and you can keep playing this over and over and practicing, and you can even record yourself and then listen back to that to see if you've mastered the pronunciation. Try to use the 5 W's. So we have who, what, where, when, and why. During your day, try to use some of these questions. So if we look at, for example, you could pick a random object in your house. You could pick your phone and you could say, you can ask yourself a question. So why is my phone useful? Where did my phone come from? So by asking yourself these questions, it forces you to search for the answer. Try drawing your vocabulary. So you can start very simple, a happy face. So we know that's happy. You could try drawing a confused face, or when you have time, just draw random objects that you may know the word for in your native language, but you're not sure about in English. So you could be drawing landscapes, you could be drawing ships or boats or scenery or places that you have been before. Think about your interests. So if you like sport, you could draw a football field and try to draw the positions of the players. So you have the strikers, the midfielders, the defenders, the goalkeepers. You can think about the tactics involved. What formation does your team like to play? Do they play a 4-4-2, a 3-5-2? So this is nice because it's something creative. You're not just thinking about it, but you're also drawing the picture.
How are you today? Please let me know in the comments how you are feeling today. Even if you're not feeling great, you can let me know. And this is important because here we are building a community together, and it's very nice to hear from other people, because the nature of these podcasts is that it's one way, but it's really nice to hear from you, even if it's just to say hello or hi. It would be really nice. Myself, I'm trying to get over this cold. So this cold has been lingering around. I've taken some medication, not very strong medication, because I don't really like to take a lot of medication. I've been concentrating on natural remedies such as hot water with lemon and ginger, which is quite nice. So hopefully I can get rid of it soon. But apart from that, everything is good. Let me know in your life, how is everything going? Since starting this YouTube channel, I have a newfound respect for content creators. I've discovered how difficult it can actually be, but it's actually very rewarding. It's incredibly rewarding creating something from scratch and seeing the final product. So initially, there are quite a few steps to think about. You have the idea, thinking about the idea, then researching the topic, creating the script, filming, making sure that the camera that you're using is charged, has enough space, thinking about audio, thinking about good audio, lighting, then recording and taking lots of takes, and then going on to the editing process, exporting, uploading onto YouTube, and making sure that everything is okay. Along the way, people use lots of different types of gadgets, which I don't have at the moment. I have the bare bones, so the necessities. I focused on the quality of audio. So I invested in a really good wireless audio kit, and I connect that to an iPhone. This is actually an iPhone 11, so it's quite an old iPhone. And I'm looking to upgrade in the future, but I need to justify that cost. So as the channel starts to grow, I'm looking to invest in my equipment. Now, I love my gadgets, and I've researched how people make their videos. A lot of people use things like a teleprompter to read from a teleprompter. To me, this feels a little bit unnatural, but some people do it really well. You can't even tell that they're reading from a teleprompter like in the news. But I think it's really handy. So I have my script and I have my bullet points. I actually have my laptop on a box right now, so I can see the bullet points. So I can keep track and make the lessons engaging and try not to waffle too much. But the whole idea of this podcast is to waffle. Now, I think it's quite interesting to go off topic. I think it's really good for your listening skills, because this is how I speak naturally. So you get used to listening to native English speakers. So being born and growing up in London, I've been exposed to many different type of accents, different type of cultures, and understanding slang, not just from London, but from all around the UK. So I thought it would be quite interesting for you to listen to. Apart from the audio, the video, I have a few box lights. I was quite hesitant to invest in the lights, but over time I realized that it does actually make quite a big difference, especially if you don't have natural sunlight. In the UK, you don't get much sunlight apart from the summer, so it's quite nice to have that just in case you need it. So content creation, there are so many things to think about. It's an evolving process where you make mistakes. I've had instances when I've recorded a video and I forgot to plug the extension into the iPhone, so it didn't record. There've been other times when I forgot to clean the camera lens, and when I watched the video back, it looked fine until I exported it to the laptop and the video was blurry. So there's lots of things like this that you pick up on, even when it comes to editing, using different editing software. Some other people that may be more fortunate may have teams or export this to other people to do. I do everything myself, so it's been quite a big learning curve, but I feel like I have a natural aptitude for IT and having patience. I think this comes from when I was younger and building my own desktop computer. So researching the components, I'm not afraid to dabble with technology, and I feel that making mistakes is really important. It's just like learning English. The more that you keep practicing and learning and making mistakes, for example, if you're learning new vocabulary and you use those words in a conversation, it might not be the perfect context, but you are practicing saying the word and making the shape with your mouth and hearing yourself say that word is really important because you're putting the vocabulary into your active learning. It's not just passive. So active learning is really important. Just hearing you say the word is so powerful, and it reinforces that learning, and over time your the neurons in your brain will start to make stronger and stronger connections, and it will just become natural. If anyone is thinking about starting a YouTube channel, I would say definitely go for it. I was thinking about starting this English channel over 6 years ago, and life just got in the way. I saw quite a few other people making making channels about learning English, and I thought, I can't really compete with that. They're very good, and I talked myself out of it. But over time, I realized, okay, I need to just go for it. It's something that I enjoy. I have lots of experience in teaching, and I think that I could help a lot of people from these lessons. So if you want to start a channel, definitely think about your interests, your hobbies, and go for it. And over time, you will start to learn new things. I know you may be apprehensive, but think about your hobbies, think about your interests, even if you're just documenting your daily life, because I think content creation will just continue to grow. You have the traditional entertainment channels, even things like Netflix and streaming channels, but sometimes people want to hear from other people. It may be a useful skill like DIY. I've learned so many interesting things. I fixed my washing machine by watching a quick video on YouTube, so fixing my car with small issues. So it's fantastic for learning, but also having a connection and seeing how people live their life is so interesting and fascinating because it's more genuine. It's not as overly produced as a TV show or a movie. So, you have a lot of experience, a lot of stories to tell. So I think it's something worth thinking about, trying, and you're not going to please everyone. That's impossible. There are so many people in the world. People have so much choice. Even when it comes to learning English, for example, you have a plethora of teachers that you can learn from, and I think that's wonderful. Compared to 30 years ago, you had to just learn from books. So this gives you more exposure to different types of people, different types of accents, teaching styles. It's brilliant. Definitely go for it. Talking about gadgets, are there any gadgets that you like in your life? Are you a gadgets person? Are you afraid of technology and prefer to stay away from it? I think technology, it's unavoidable. It's here, it's ever growing. It's just going to become bigger and bigger over time. Now, I saw this article about the Apple Vision Pro, and it looks amazing. I've seen some trailers, some videos for it on YouTube, and it looks absolutely amazing. Being able to watch a film and have the screen as big as you want to, feeling interactive. For example, if you're playing a game, you actually would feel like you're inside the game. So the idea looks amazing. So this title, as Apple headset reaches Europe, will VR ever hit the mainstream? VR is virtual reality. So as Apple headset reaches Europe, so it's made its way to Europe, and will it ever hit mainstream? So what does mainstream mean? Mainstream refers to the ideas, attitudes, or activities that are shared by most people and are considered normal or conventional. So it represents the common or popular way of thinking or doing things, or things that are widely accepted in society. For example, mainstream music is a kind of music that most people listen to and is played on popular radio stations. So mainstream. If we think about social media, in my personal experience, things like Facebook have become more mainstream. 20 years ago, it was more niche. Many people, especially older people, hadn't heard about Facebook, but now it's more mainstream communication apps like WhatsApp. Many people of the older generation know how to use WhatsApp and enjoy using it. So will VR ever hit the mainstream? That's quite interesting. So let's have a look into this article a bit deeper. So to get a sense of the public interest in the Vision Pro, Apple's very high-tech, very expensive virtual reality headset finally launched in the UK and Europe on Friday. Where better to head than one of its own stores? In the past, people camped outside Apple's branches overnight, so desperate were they to get their hands on the tech giant's latest product. I think that's quite extreme, camping on the street, waiting for the product. But I can imagine it would give you a sense of excitement. Have you ever camped out on the street waiting for the launch of a product? It must be extremely exciting waiting for that product and being one of the first people in the country to get your hands on that product. So that adds to the thrill of owning this product. When I went to its branch in central London on Friday morning, though, there was just a small group, mainly comprised of men waiting for the doors to open. So that's interesting. So in the past, you used to have huge groups of people, but now there was just a small group. So this word comprised means consisted of or made up of. Partly that's because people these days prefer the convenience of pre-orders. When you pre-order something, you can have it delivered to you personally. You may pay a little bit extra, but you don't have to have the inconvenience of having to camp outside the shop overnight. So this word convenience, I think it's a really nice word to use, because most of our life is dictated by what is convenient. We use a washing machine because it's easier than washing clothes by hand. We drive a car because it's more convenient than waiting for public transport. So convenient is when something it makes your life easier. But it also perhaps tells us something about the question that continues to hang over the VR headset market. Will it ever escape the realm of tech aficionados and go truly mainstream? So aficionado is a very nice word. This means a person who is very knowledgeable and enthusiastic about an activity, subject, or pastime. So these people, they know a lot about this VR headset. They are experts in this. They've researched it, they're really excited, and they are passionate about technology. So in order for something to go mainstream, it's the opposite for it being niche. Niche is when it's fewer people are very interested in something. So for it to go mainstream, it's an interesting question. How can that happen? Well, firstly, more people need to know about it. Secondly, it needs to be applicable to many people's lives. Some people may not be interested in video games or movies. They may enjoy music or travel. So they need to be exposed to what a VR headset could do. Maybe it could make being immersed in music more enjoyable, or traveling to another country. You can plan your trip. If you wanted to go to Italy or to Europe, you could visually walk down the route. So this way you can plan, you can anticipate, you can know what to expect on your holiday. Apple's plan to make its product breakthrough is to position it as a product you would use to do the stuff you already do, only better. Home videos become 3D-like. Panoramic photos stretch from floor to ceiling, 360 degrees around you. Apple keeps reminding me it calls this spatial content. Nobody else does. Plenty suck their teeth at the Vision Pro's price, though. A whopping £3,499. Wow. So when you suck your teeth, this is when you are amazed at something that you can't believe the price of it. And this word whopping, it means extremely big. So £3,500, that's a fair chunk of money to spend on something. So they have to justify it. They have to make you feel like this product is worth spending a substantial amount of money. It has to enhance your life in some way or give you immense joy or pleasure. Facebook owner Meta has been watching Apple's approach closely. It's been in the VR game a long time. At a recent demo for the Meta Quest 3, which has been available in the UK since 2023, the team was very keen to talk to me about multitasking, having multiple screens on action at once. In a demo, I had a web browser, YouTube, and Messenger in a line in front of me. We always did this, we didn't really talk about it, one Meta worker told me. So that's quite interesting. The key word here, multitasking. It seems that this is a bit of an old-fashioned word now. The terminology seems to be about productivity, which encompasses multitasking. So when you're multitasking, you're doing lots of things at once. And it shows that you can handle stress, you can get lots of things done. Long gone are the days when you can just focus on doing one thing. You have to be able to be a jack of all trades and be excellent at doing many, many things. A man wears a Quest 3 to watch video instructions while building a crib. Not the most exciting concept, perhaps, but it shows just how Meta wants people to see its tech. Oh, and it costs less than £500. So this is quite interesting. So this man is building a crib, is a bed for a baby. And that would be quite useful if you can visually see how to build it. Yes, you may have video instructions or paper instructions, but feeling interactive when you're building it is incredibly useful. This way you don't miss the important screw and you can put it together excellently. So this seems to be about the practicality, showing the practical side, not just in terms of entertainment, but something that will enhance your life. This way, you can justify the cost, you can justify having this device in your life because it's more convenient and it eases the pain and the struggle. So it makes your life a lot easier. So this article is quite interesting because I think it's so exciting moving forward and seeing how this would develop. To make it more mainstream, I think the device needs to be smaller And over time, I believe that these companies will find lighter materials and able to make the product smaller and lighter. If that was the case, then it's more convenient for people to wear these things without having fatigue, or just making it more appealing to wear. Even fashion brands, even making it fashionable or customizable, as people like to show off the individuality. So think about this gadget, this VR headset, and think about how it would improve your life. What are some of the pros? What are some of the cons? And if you'd like, you can put your answers in the description below. I'd love to hear from you. Also, if you haven't already, please have a look at my free ebook. It's absolutely free for you to download. I've created it for you to give you 5 amazing tips to help you to improve your level of English. And they are practical exercises you can try to start improving your English now.
You can push. You can pull. You can twist. You can also swing. Okay, I'm going to try and get off now. And you can jump. Hi, today I'm going to talk about some action verbs to use in English. Now, you know the common ones are to talk or to speak. You also have to whisper. Now, you can whisper if you have something secret to say. You also have whistle. That's as much as I can whistle. You also have cough. You have to yawn. So you may yawn when you're tired. You also have to burp. I can't actually do a burp, but you may burp when your tummy is full and you've eaten a big meal. You have bite. To take a bite, you could take a bite from an apple. You have sing, la 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 la. I can't sing. You have to suck. If you have a drink and you have a straw, you could suck from the straw. You have to chew. So when you are chewing, you can chew some food. You also have to nibble. So to nibble is to take small, tiny bites of something. So after you're done chewing your food, you have to swallow. You have to swallow your food. To gulp is to drink water or a drink very quickly. You can also sip the water. So when you take a sip, it's taking a drink much more carefully and a small bit of water. You can also spit. I'm not actually going to spit, but that's when you have something in your mouth. It may be some liquid or even saliva, and you want to get it out of your mouth. You have to kiss. There's no one around to kiss, but I can demonstrate for you. So that's to kiss. You have to hum. So hum is different to whistle because the sound is coming more from the inside of your mouth. This is to dance, and enough of that because I can't dance. If you're walking and the floor is slippery, well, you may slip, especially if there's ice or if there's a lot of water. Like here, it's very slippery because there's water on the grass and there's lots of mud, so it's very easy to slip. You have to walk. You have to run. And you have to jog. So when you are running, it's very fast. When you are jogging, it's a bit slower, and it's a slower pace, and it's something which I feel more comfortable doing. This is stomp. So you may stomp, you may see people in the army stomping as they march, or a little kid may be stomping when they're very angry. You can squat. So when you squat, you bend your leg, you bend your knees, and you don't want your knees to go over your feet because it can be bad for your knees. So that's to squat. You can also tiptoe. When you are tiptoeing, you are on the toes of your feet. So you may want to tiptoe if there's a large puddle, or if there's something that you don't want to step into. If you're walking, you may trip. So if there's something on the floor, you've got to be very careful. So if you trip over something. That is to leap. Maybe you have to jump over something and you have to leap over something. That's to leap. So that is jump. I can't jump very high, but that is to jump. Now, if you can't walk properly, or if you've got a problem with your leg, you may limp. So to limp is when you are struggling to walk and you may have hurt your leg. This is to shuffle. So when you are shuffling, you are dragging your feet very, very slowly. That is to shuffle. That is to skip. You can snap your fingers. Not very good with this hand, but I'm really good with this hand. So you can snap your fingers. Maybe you like the beat to a song and you're in a good mood. You can snap your fingers. You can poke. So when someone gives you a poke, maybe they're trying to get your attention. You can pinch. It doesn't feel very good. When you pinch, your skin actually hurts a little bit. You can squeeze. So when you're squeezing something, you're gripping it very tightly. You can pat. So when you pat, it's maybe a gentler way to get someone's attention rather than to poke. So that's to pat. That's to slap. It's not a very good thing to slap. You can push. The opposite to push is to pull. So when you are pushing, you're pushing something away from you, and when you're pulling, you're trying to pull it towards you. That's to clap. You can clap to maybe tell someone that they've done something very well. Maybe they've done a good job. So it can be generally a good thing. Or maybe you're at a concert and there's a performance and they've done an amazing job and you want to show your appreciation. So you would clap. You can tickle. I think it's impossible to tickle yourself, but that is to tickle. Maybe there's something on your jacket, like this leaf. You can flick it off. So that's to flick. You can wave to say hello to someone. Maybe there's someone that you've seen and you recognize, you want to say hello, so you can get their attention and you can wave. That is to punch. If there are some flies around, you can try to swat. This is to stroke. You can also stroke an animal, like a cat. You can scratch. Maybe you feel uncomfortable and you want to have a good scratch. You can dab. So to dab is like this. That's to brush. Maybe you've got something on your shoulder and you want to brush it off, so you can brush. You can point. If you see something beautiful or if you notice someone, you can point. That tree over there looks so beautiful. So that's to point. So you can gesture. I won't show you what I'm gesturing, but it's not very nice. You can have a thumbs up, or you could have a peace sign. You can wind with your hands. You can also twist your hands. Now you may be wondering, what action verbs are associated with your nose? Well, there's quite a few. You can wiggle your nose. I can't quite do it, but when you wiggle your nose like this, you can snort with your nose. You can also blow your nose. Achoo! Achoo! You can sneeze. You can sniff. If something smells good or not so good, you can sniff. You can pick your nose, but I'm not actually going to do that today. So that's to pick your nose. You can wipe your nose. You can open your eyes. You can also close your eyes. You can wink. Maybe if you like someone, you can wink at them. You can blink. Maybe your eyes are dry and you need to blink to give your eyes some more moisture. You can stare. So when you stare, you don't blink. You can roll your eyes. So maybe you don't like someone, or you don't like what someone has said, you could roll your eyes. You could cry. Maybe you're sad or you've watched a sad movie, you would cry. So here in London, it's winter and it's absolutely freezing cold, and I feel like crying because it is so cold. You can squint. So I am squinting right now because we have a bit of sunshine. It's amazing. We have about 5 seconds of sunshine before the sun disappears behind a cloud. So that's why I'm squinting. You can also cover your eyes. So a very common game with a baby. You can play peekaboo to cover your eyes and peekaboo. So you can shake your head, which can mean no. You can nod your head to mean yes. Maybe you've done something naughty and you would hang your head. When it comes to the shoulders, there's a very common verb to use, which is to shrug. Maybe someone asks you a question and you don't know the answer, you would shrug your answers. I don't know. That is to bite. And thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. So please click that subscribe button. Comment below and let me know which verbs you know and which ones you didn't know, which ones you found interesting, and maybe write some sentences as well. Thank you and bye-bye. Small talk is big talk, and it can change your life if you can master it. Keep watching until the end and I will reveal the one thing that really helped me to understand small talk and feel really comfortable in awkward situations. What is small talk? Well, small talk is a light conversation between friends, acquaintances, strangers. It's basically talking to someone and staying away from controversial topics. So it's very light-hearted, you're getting to know someone, you're making the other person feel less awkward, and the conversation can flow a bit easily. The phrase making small talk is quite interesting. So if you think about making something or building something, I like to describe it as building a bridge between you and the other person. And this can help to build rapport. So rapport means building a friendly, harmonious relationship with the other person. In the beginning, it's nice to have a bit of structure. This will make you feel less anxious. So some of the common topics for small talk can be life, weather, food, travel, and work. There are a lot of variables when it comes to small talk. Depends on the situation. Are you at work, at a conference, or something a bit more informal, such as a party? So let's have a look at the introduction. So when you first meet someone, it's quite relaxed, quite easy and natural. For example, hi, how are you? Hi, how are you doing? How's your day been? Or how's your day going? Talking about life can be quite nice because it blends quite well with the introduction. Maybe you have just finished your weekend, so you could say something like, how was your weekend? What did you get up to on the weekend? If you're towards the end of the week, you could ask, do you have any plans for the weekend? Are you getting up to anything interesting on the weekend? Now, when you say, do you have any plans for the weekend? It can be quite easy to get shut down. The other person may say no, because often we may not plan ahead. In this case, I like to ask, what will you be doing on the weekend? Or how will you spend your time on the weekend? So they may say, I'm relaxing, I may just be watching TV. In this case, we're searching for little clues, and that leads on to asking about, are you watching anything on telly? Now, telly is an informal word for TV. Or are you watching any interesting shows? Another open-ended question about life is basically, what have you been up to lately? So you are not putting pressure on the other person to give an amazing answer. It's just giving little bits of information about what they have done recently. Maybe they've traveled, maybe they've been snowed under with work. In this case, you can think of yourself as a detective. You're searching for little clues, so then you can extend the question. Now in English, this is part of asking probing questions, such as using what or why. Next, we have the weather. Now, the weather is a universal topic all around the world, especially in the UK and London, where the weather changes all the time, and generally it is miserable. Now, you can ask some questions such as, it's it's so gloomy today, I can't wait until summer. If you spot someone carrying an umbrella, you could say, you did well for carrying your brolly with you today. Now, brolly is an informal word for umbrella. You could say, this weather has been all over the place. If it's been very unpredictable, or even this, when will this rain stop? It's been pouring all day. Next up is work. Now, with work, it depends on if you know the person at work. Maybe they're in the same department or a different department. In this case, you could ask them, hi, how's work going? If you don't know the person, you could ask, what field of work are you in? And once they give you the response, you can start to probe a little bit further. For example, what do you enjoy about your job? If they say they don't like their job, you can ask them, what aspects of your job do you find interesting? Or what things do you find interesting about your job? You could ask them, are you able to work remotely? And this can branch off onto different topics. For example, there's something called Zoom fatigue. Fatigue is another word for feeling tired. And a lot of people were feeling tired from having so many online meetings. It was taking the brain some time to process people's facial reactions. And so some people felt more tired with online meetings than actual face-to-face meetings. And by just reading in general about news or entertainment can help you to add bits of information into making small talk. You could ask the person, do you have any perks? So perks means anything additional to the job. That's something that is extra. For example, they may receive childcare benefits, free breakfast, etc. Now we have travel. So you could ask someone, did you manage to get away anywhere nice this year? If you're approaching the summer, that's perfect. You could ask them, are you planning on going anywhere? If they're not, you could ask them, if you could go somewhere, where would you want to go? Then when they give you a response, you again can branch off and talk about that particular place. If they say they've been to Paris, for example, you could say, so I've never been there. Can you tell me what are some nice things to see or to do there? Next up is food. You could ask someone, is there a nice place to grab a bite to eat? If you are new to the area and you like coffee or a particular food or a drink, you could ask them, I really like coffee. Are there any good coffee shops around here? If you are a foodie, you could offer some advice to someone. You could say, I've been to so-and-so and they serve really good food. The one thing that really helped to change my perspective with small talk was understanding and recognizing the other person's presence. And for me, this made things click. So by saying hello and engaging in some kind of small talk, I'm acknowledging the other person. The interaction, it feels less forced, it feels very natural, and it can lead on to longer conversations if you want to. So the main thing is being really relaxed and thinking of yourself as a detective where you're searching for some clues to feed off. So if they give you some information about food or travel, for example, you can respond and you can take the conversation as far as you want to. So the conversation starts off general and it can develop into something more specific. Now what can happen is you can end up talking about the weather a bit too much, and say you want to end the conversation or change the topic, you can just use the word so and add your exit. So for example, so it was great catching up. I have to run, but I will send you an email. Or It's been really lovely meeting up. I have to run, but I'll catch up with you soon. Small talk is great for networking in life in general, but also for the workplace. The more that you talk to someone, the more you find out from their personal experience. They may know a good dentist, a good doctor, a good school, in the workplace. They may know of a job opening or a position that you may be interested in. And it's just nice in general. So you walk away from that interaction feeling like you've made a genuine connection with someone, even though it may feel quite superficial, but it's just spreading some sunshine and happiness. And I think it's a good thing to practice. Speaking of practice, a good thing to do is when you go to the supermarket and you're at the checkout, just engage in some friendly conversation with the person. Ask them about how their day is going. Do they have long left of their shift? Are they having a good day? This way you can start to go outside of your comfort zone, and it's good practice for when you are in other social situations.
I'm so excited today because we're going to learn some English by cooking, and I'm going to make a nice chickpea curry. So let's get started. There was a little squirrel that I think wanted to learn how to cook. So the first step is to gather your ingredients. Here I'm going to be using 1 onion, 2 potatoes. I have some minced garlic and some minced ginger. I have the canned chickpeas, some curry leaves at the back, and also some mixed chilies. So these mixed chilies are medium heat, and I'll probably only use 1. And here we have, what is this called? Good, this is a chopping board. The first step would be to peel the onion. So I have 1 nice peeled onion. Now I'm going to cut the onion very carefully in half. Then I'm going to slice the onion. Now I'm going to dice the onion. Next comes the tomato. So I've washed the tomato thoroughly. Now I'm going to cut off the top part, and the same thing as the onion, I'm going to cut the tomato in half, and then I am going to cut the tomato into small pieces, carefully trying not to cut your fingers. Next comes the mixed chilies. This says medium heat, a hand-picked mix of fruity flavors adds a gentle warmth to dishes. I'm going to take 1, I'm going to wash it. Then I'm going to cut the top off, and I'm going to slice this long ways.
And I think that will be fine. So I've cut the main ingredients. We have the diced or chopped onions and the chopped tomatoes. So I'm going to turn on the stove. Now I'm going to add some oil to the pot. It's a personal preference as to how much oil you want to add. I've added about this much oil, you can see. So I'm going to let the pot heat up so the oil coats the bottom surface of the pot, and then I will add the onions. So I have switched over from the back plate to the front plate so you can see a bit closer as to what's happening. So I'm going to add the chopped up onions. Because of the type of the pot this is, I'm using a silicone spatula. So I'm just going to give the onions a stir, and I'm going to cook the onions for a few minutes until they start to turn a bit brown. So I've been cooking the onions for a few minutes. You can hear a nice sizzle. Next, I'm going to add some salt, some table salt. Now, because I've made this curry many times, I would eyeball. To eyeball means to roughly guess how much salt you will put. Here I have a tablespoon, so probably about a quarter would be enough. So I'm just going to add the salt. I'm going to sprinkle the salt. And then I'm going to give it a nice stir. Next, I'm going to add some turmeric. Again, with the turmeric, I will add a rough amount, probably about half a teaspoon, which is a smaller spoon. I don't like to add too much turmeric because it can give the food a chalky taste. Now with turmeric, it's nice to add some black pepper. So I'm going to grind and twist this pepper. Give it a shake at the end. Again, I'll give it a nice stir. So I'm coating the onions with the turmeric, the salt, and the black pepper. Next, I'm going to add some Kashmiri chili powder. So I will add the same amount as the turmeric. And give it a nice stir. Next, I'm going to add some minced garlic. You can use fresh garlic if you prefer, but this is the lazy option, the quick option. So I like to add a nice spoonful of minced garlic. I'll add another half a tablespoon there. Next comes the minced ginger. The ginger is quite strong, so I would add about half a tablespoon there. ginger to get rid of the ginger smell especially. So I'll leave that to cook for another few minutes. Next up, I'm going to add the chili. And I have washed some curry leaves here. So I'm going to add a few curry leaves. I love the smell of curry leaves. So I'll add a few here. And then give this a nice stir. Then I'm going to add the chopped tomatoes. Give this a nice stir. I'm going to cook the tomatoes down and wait until the tomatoes have become soft, so that will take a few minutes. While everything is cooking here, I'm going to strain the chickpeas. So these chickpeas are quite convenient because the can has a little thing here to pull. So you don't actually have to use a tin opener. So I'm going to open this. And then I'm going to use a strainer here. It's one. And the same thing with the second can or tin. Make sure I've got everything there. Good. Then, so these are the strained chickpeas. Then I'm going to rinse the chickpeas. So I forgot to mention, I'm cooking everything on a medium heat. This is at number 5. And the tomatoes are starting to become nice and soft. I have strained the chickpeas. So I'm going to put the chickpeas in. And then coat the chickpeas. So I'll give the chickpeas a nice stir, and I'm coating the chickpeas with all the nice spices and the onions, and it smells delicious. I like to cover the pot and then let the chickpeas soak up the spices for another few minutes, and then I'll add some water in a bit. So the chickpeas have been cooking away for a few minutes. Now I'm going to add some water. Just enough water to cover the chickpeas. And again, give the chickpeas another stir. Now I will cover the chickpeas and leave that to cook on medium heat for about 20 minutes. So the curry's been cooking for some time. I can smell those delicious smells. This is what it would look like. Here is the finished curry. It smells delicious and it tastes amazing. I love cooking this curry because firstly, it's delicious. Secondly, I know it's healthy because I have the nice spices, the nice turmeric, I've got the ginger, the garlic, and chickpeas themselves are very good for your body. They're very healthy. You can eat the chickpea curry with rice, or you could try some rotis, or another word for this is chapatis. So with these, you can make these from scratch, but you can buy them pre-made. You can just put them on a frying pan and just cook them for a few minutes, or you can put them in the microwave. I prefer to put them onto a frying pan and then cook them for a few minutes on each side. So I hope you enjoyed cooking with me today. I really enjoyed it. Let me know If you have made this curry before, there are a few different variations. You can add coriander, for example. You could add some cumin. You could add some coconut milk if you wanted to make the texture a bit more creamy. I prefer to have it with tomatoes. Let me know in the comments below, what dishes do you like to make? What do you like to cook for dinner? Hello, my name is Harry and this is Learn English with British Harry. I'm so excited to share this lesson with you today because I'm going to help you to speak English fluently. Now let's have a look at this word fluency. It means different things to different people. So what does it mean to you? And you can write down your comments below. Now I can give you a clue even if you haven't heard of this word before. So in your native language, you are fluent. Okay. So fluency has three main components. Firstly, vocabulary. Secondly, grammar. Thirdly, making associations. Now, when you make associations, you can make yourself understood. So, for example, in English, I do not know all of the words in the dictionary. However, I can make someone understand what I am saying. They can understand the gist of the conversation. To build fluency, there are two main things to consider. Firstly is extending your answer. Now, the easiest way to do this is with the word because. Now, I'll teach you more sophisticated ways later, but let's stick to because first. So, for example, I like watching movies because of this, because of this. Now, you can see it as a game and you can try to see how many times you can extend your answer with the word because. The second way is to use synonyms. So a synonym is a word that has a similar meaning to another word. For example, the word like. I could say, I like something because something. Now, if we look at the word like, what is another word to use that is similar to like? We could say enjoy, we could say love, or even appreciate. So now we can use these two aspects and put them together into a formula. So I like something because I enjoy something and I love something. Now here you can fill in the gaps with your vocabulary, and don't worry about that because I will help you to build your vocabulary lesson by lesson. Using this example, I could say, I like movies because I enjoy going to the cinema and I love action movies, for example. So you can use any topic to put into this formula. Another way to improve your fluency is to start thinking in English. Now, I'm not sure if you are already doing this or if this is something you haven't considered, but it's extremely helpful. There are a few steps to help you with this. Now, I like to play a game in the beginning. So I would like you to have a look around your room and pick out 3 objects that you can see. And so, for example, I will start with a pen here. Then the second step is to describe the object physically. So, for example, this pen it's blue, it's light, it's made from plastic, it has the manufacturer's name Bic on it. Excellent. Now the next step is to describe if you like the object or not. So, for example, I like this pen because it's blue and it's light. If you don't like the object, that's fine. You can put the word not or don't. So, for example, I don't like this pen because it's blue and it's light. Also, if you wanted to, you could try to explain a preference. For example, I like this pen, however, I would prefer a different color. So I would like you to do that with the other two objects. So firstly, describe the object physically, the shape, the color, the weight, the material, and then secondly, try to give some descriptive reasons about why you like the object. So you could go into more detail and describe how useful it is and why it is useful. The second thing I would like you to do is start to recap your day. So when you go to sleep at night, I would like you to recap your day. For example, I ate cereal for breakfast, I went to the gym, I did my homework, or I did some studying, I watched TV. So here we're focusing on the past simple. And this is an easy way to start to incorporate some basic grammar. Then I would also like you to plan for the next day. So for example, tomorrow I will go to see my friend, or I will go to the cinema, or I will go to the park. I think this is very useful because it's the last thing you think about before you sleep and the first thing you think about when you wake up. This way you're training your brain to start to think in English. You could also keep a small notebook and a pen next to your bed to think of any words that you need to translate, and you could do that the next day. I'm just playing some video games. Stop faffing around and do some work. So faff means to waste time. Maybe there's someone that is doing something unproductive, maybe playing video games when they should be working. So you could say, stop faffing around. So faff means to waste time on something that is unproductive. Hello, this is British Harry, and thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to talk about some very common British sayings in today's lesson. So the first one is bits and bobs. So this expression is to talk about random little items or small tasks or chores. So for example, I could say, I'm going to the shops for some bits and bobs. For example, if you are going to the supermarket or a shop, maybe you need to pick up a few small little items. You could say, I'm just popping out to the shops for some bits and bobs. Also have small tasks. So I have some bits and bobs to do on the weekend. So someone could ask you, Harry, what are you doing on the weekend? You could say, not much really, I just have some bits and bobs to do. So here is a general expression to talk about the small tasks or chores that you have to do. I've just won £1 million. Blimey, I can't believe it. So blimey here is used to express surprise or shock. Blimey. Throw a spanner in the works. A spanner is a tool that you can use to open screws. In America, they may call it a wrench. So to throw a spanner in the works, this means to make something to not go to plan. So you have some plans set up and some expectations, but something unexpected happens and things don't go to plan. So for example, the tour guide got sick and this really threw a spanner in the works. You may have had plans set up to go on holiday and meet the tour guide, but he was sick and this threw a spanner in the works because now you would have to make other plans. Bob's your uncle. This means there you go or it's done. This expression is widely used in the UK And you can use it in a sentence. For example, press the subscribe button and Bob's your uncle. You will see more free lessons like these. And on that note, please like, share and subscribe this video. I really appreciate it. It's free to subscribe and it means that this video will get shown to more people and it motivates me more to make lessons like this. And there you go. That's Bob's your uncle. Gutted means to be extremely disappointed. This informal word is used a lot in the UK. You could say, I'm gutted that I didn't get the job. So here you're expressing your extreme sadness or disappointment that you missed out on something. It could be something else, like if your favorite football team lost the match, you could say, I'm gutted that we lost. Whew, I'm absolutely knackered. So knackered means to be exhausted or very tired. It took me 2 hours to get home and I'm knackered. You could say this in another sentence. I've been running for 3 miles and I'm knackered. I can't run anymore. So knackered means to be extremely tired or exhausted. These are some cream crackers. So this cream crackered, I'm not sure how it came from a cream cracker. There we go. These are delicious with some cheese on top. So cream crackered means extremely tired or exhausted. You could say, after sprinting for the bus, I was cream crackered. I was completely exhausted. Next up, we have to take a gander. So this means to look at something briefly. Can you look at my new car? Sure, I can pop over to take a gander later. So here, gander, maybe you're running short of time and maybe you're on your way to somewhere else and you can pop over to take a gander. The driver lost the plot and cut in front of me. Here, lost the plot means if someone is not behaving rationally. So when you are behaving rationally, you are thinking clearly, you're able to make good judgments, good decisions. When you're not behaving rationally, this is when you behave erratically and quite strange. So here the driver lost the plot. So maybe if you are driving and another car is swerving on the road, you're not sure what he is doing, he's not keeping in the lane, and suddenly he cuts in front of you. So the driver lost the plot. He threw a wobbly when he saw the queue. Maybe the person went to the queue, it was very long, there's nothing he can do about it. There are enough staff there at the till, but he acts in a way which is very angry and demanding that they move faster in the queue. So to throw a wobbly means to become very angry. Another example could be if you tell a child or a teenager you have to stop playing on the PlayStation or the computer games, or you take away the iPad and they throw a wobbly. So here they often, this is to become very angry, could be seen to be throwing a tantrum. A toddler would throw a tantrum if they don't get their way. They lie on the floor and start screaming and shouting and waving their arms. So that is to throw a wobbly. There is a curtain twitcher next door. So a curtain twitcher is a nosy neighbor. There could be an instance when maybe you're having a party in the garden and you see the curtains twitch. So in the UK, it's very common for people to have curtains. You have an inner lining net curtain that has a pattern, and then you have the thicker curtains on the inside as well. So when you see the curtain twitch, the twitch is to move slightly, then you can notice someone is peeking through and being nosy. I have had my coffee and I am full of beans. So here, full of beans means to be full of energy. You may see a child running around very enthusiastically, and you could say, wow, he is full of beans, or she is full of beans. So full of beans is to be full of energy. If you say something is not my cup of tea, then you're saying that that thing is not your favorite. So for example, you could say, heavy rock music is not really my cup of tea. So here, not my cup of tea, you can use this with a lot of different things. You could say a specific activity, music, food is not really my cup of tea. So it's something which is not my absolute favorite thing. To increase the rent by £500 takes the biscuit. So to take the biscuit means when something is particularly bad or annoying. So in this case, maybe the landlord has the general increase in prices would have been, say, £100, but now the landlord is increasing the rent by £500. So this is a huge increase. So this particular instance is bad or annoying, so it really takes the biscuit. I've had enough. Put a sock in it. So put a sock in it is quite a rude phrase, actually, but you may hear it in movies or TV shows, so it's nice to know what it means. So it means to be quiet, but it's quite offensive and it's quite a rude thing to say. On your bike, I don't want to buy anything. So here, on your bike, is another rude expression that I personally wouldn't use, but you would hear people saying this, and this means to go away. So on your bike, if you think about a bicycle, you're telling that person to get on their bike and go away because you don't want to hear anything or you don't want to interact with that person. So on your bike. The traffic was making me go balmy. So balmy here means crazy. You also have the balmy army. So in cricket, you have some supporters who go crazy. They're very enthusiastic. The traffic was making me go balmy, crazy. It was making you feel as if you were losing your mind. You cannot cope with the amount of traffic. So you also have, in cricket, you have the Barmy Army, who are a group of English supporters that are enthusiastic. So when England win or they're cheering on the England cricket team, they're waving flags, making noise. So they're very enthusiastic. He became gobby when security asked him to leave. So gobby here can mean loud or offensive. So maybe the person in the shop was being mean to people, or maybe he was under the influence of alcohol, and so security asked him to leave the shop, and then he started to become gobby. So he may have made offensive remarks or comments to security or to other people. So that is gobby. I was gobsmacked to see him score 5 goals. It was amazing. So here, gobsmacked means to be shocked. So the gob refers to the mouth. It's an informal word for the mouth. We had a look at the phrase gobby, which was to be loud and offensive. So gob, mouth. and smacked. So if you're smacked in the face, which isn't a nice thing, you would be full of surprise and shocked. So gobsmacked means to be shocked. There was a kerfuffle in the shop over the last TV. So a kerfuffle is an argument or a noisy disturbance. So maybe there was a sale and a lot of people were fighting over arguments, and they were making a lot of noise. So you could say there was a kerfuffle. That party was a good knees up. So knees up refers to a party, but not just an ordinary party, but a party that is very lively. There's lots of dancing. It's so much fun. So that is referred to a knees up. He skived off work 3 times last month. So to skive means to avoid work or responsibilities. So in this case, the person didn't go to work. Maybe if they are at work and they go home, or they take an extended lunch break, could say that that person is skiving off work. So they are avoiding responsibility. You could have an instance where children don't go to school, so he or she skived off school yesterday. So to skive means to avoid work or responsibilities. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. So I hope you found those expressions useful. Rewatch the video, listen to my examples, try to think of new examples yourself and write them down in the comments below. So please subscribe. It's free to subscribe, and it really gets this video shown to more people, and it really motivates me to make more videos like this. So thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Would you like a cup of tea? Tea is not really my cup of tea. I prefer coffee. Hello, this is Harry from Learn English with British Harry. How are you today? I hope you're well. And today we're going to look at idioms. What is an idiom? An idiom is a group of words that mean something different together than they do separately. Idioms are so important when you're learning to speak English and you want to improve your fluency. This is because they add more color. They give a different way to explain something in English. Today I'm going to teach you 8 food idioms that you must know. Make sure that you watch the lesson the whole way through, because at the end of the lesson I have a fun quiz to test your understanding. Icing on the cake means something that makes a good situation even better. Hi, how's the game going? Shh, I'm playing. I won the game, but the icing on the cake was getting the perfect score. I won the game, but the icing on the cake was getting the perfect score. I won the game, but the icing on the cake was getting the perfect score. He won the game, so he was very happy. But what made it even better was getting the perfect score. So it was not essential that he got the perfect score, but it added that something extra on top. And here's another example. How was your holiday? It was amazing. The icing on the cake was seeing a shooting star. So when you have a cake and it's already delicious, but then you have the icing on the top, which makes it taste even sweeter. The icing on the cake was seeing a shooting star. So he had a really fantastic holiday, but what made it even better was seeing the shooting star. So that is the icing on the cake. Spill the beans. Spill the beans. This means to reveal some secret information. This surprise birthday party is going to be fantastic. Let's hide before he comes in. I accidentally spilt the beans and let him know. He accidentally revealed the secret surprise. Here's another example. I can't wait to watch the movie The Sixth Sense. Is that the one where at the end... Why did you tell me the ending? Sorry, I didn't mean to spill the beans. It just came out. It's a good ending though. Sorry, I didn't mean to spill the beans. It just came out. Maybe his friend was so excited to reveal the information, to reveal the ending because he enjoyed it so much. He accidentally revealed the ending of the movie. So that was to spill the beans. To egg someone on. This means to encourage someone to do something that they often shouldn't do. You should try this spicy food. It's delicious. I don't really like food that's too spicy. Do it, do it, do it. I'm sorry for egging you on. I'm sorry for egging you on. His friend really wanted him to try the spicy food, but he knew it would be too spicy for his friend, but he was egging him on. He was encouraging him to try this spicy food. You should jump. Aren't there crocodiles in there? Jump, jump, jump. I'm sorry I egged you on. I'm sorry I egged you on. So his friend was apologizing. He was egging him on to jump into the river or the lake. Maybe he knew there were crocodiles. So this is something that he shouldn't have done, but the other person should have realized, hey, I'm being egged on here. You know what? I'm not going to jump into this lake. Cheap as chips. This means the price is low and that it is cheap. I like your t-shirt. Thanks. It was cheap as chips. It was only £2. Thanks. It was cheap as chips. It was only £2. So here his t-shirt was very cheap considering the other price of other t-shirts. Here's another example. Do you like my hat? I bought it on sale for £1. It was cheap as chips. I bought it on sale for £1. It was cheap as chips. The price of the hat was very low. It was very cheap, considering the original price or relative to the cost of other hats. Not my cup of tea. This means something that you don't enjoy. Do you like playing the piano? That's not my cup of tea, but I like breakdancing. That's not my cup of tea. So he didn't like to play the piano, but he liked breakdancing. So his preference is not to play the piano. Are you a morning person or a night person? I'm a morning person. Staying up late is not my cup of tea. I'm a morning person. Staying up late is not my cup of tea. So he likes to wake up nice and early and he doesn't like to sleep very late. So so he does not enjoy going to sleep late. This is his personal preference. Cry over spilt milk. So usually you put the word don't before. So don't cry over spilt milk. This means to not get upset or sad about something that has happened and that you cannot change. So you're better off moving forward, looking to the future and forgetting about the thing that's happened because you cannot change it. I need to catch the bus. I missed the bus. Don't cry over spilt milk. So he's missed the bus. There's nothing he can do about it. The bus driver won't stop and wait for him. So he should just relax. There will be another bus in 10 minutes. If he's late for work, he can give work a call and let them know that I'm very sorry, I missed the bus and I'm running a bit late. Butter someone up. This means to be extra nice to someone, usually for selfish reasons. Your tie looks so nice.
Thanks, my tie does look quite nice.
You look like you've lost weight. Have you been going to the gym?
I have been going to the gym. Why is he being so nice? He never usually gives me compliments. Is he looking for a raise?
Can I have a raise? Is he buttering me up to get a raise? So here he is suspicious that the other person is being extra nice to him when he usually isn't. It's out of character. So why is he being extra nice? It's to get a raise, to get more money. Here's another example. If you vote for me, I will give everyone free ice cream and free pizza. He is just trying to butter us up so that we vote for him. He is just trying to butter us up. So he's being extra nice. He's giving promises of free ice cream and free pizza. So he's being extra nice and people know, hey, you're being extra nice. It's impossible to give everyone free pizza. So there's something a bit suspicious here. He wants to get our vote by making us like him even more. Bread and butter, this means the main source of income, the main way the person makes his money. What do you do for work? I play in a band, but teaching is my bread and butter. I play in a band, but teaching is my bread and butter. So he may receive money from playing in a band, but the main source of income, the primary way he makes money is through teaching. I like photography, but graphic design is my bread and butter. Are you ready for the quiz? Let's do it. William gave his dad compliments about what a good driver his dad is. His dad thinks William is A, trying to butter him up, B, putting the icing on the cake, C, telling him his car is cheap as chips. And the answer is A. His dad thinks William is trying to butter him up. He's giving him compliments so that he will hopefully get to borrow his car. Well done, good job. Question 2. Catherine was organizing a surprise getaway for her friend's birthday, but Lucy A, egged her on, B, spilt the beans, C, cried over spilt milk. And the answer is B. Lucy spilled the beans about the surprise birthday party. Well done. Question 3. James really wanted to buy a smart watch. He saw the perfect one on sale that was A, not his cup of tea, B, bread and butter, C, cheap as chips. And the answer is C. Well done. He thought the watch was cheap as chips because it was on sale. Well done. Excellent job. I could kill for a burger right now. And I could murder some fries. Is it wrong to say I want? Of course it isn't. It's perfectly fine to say I want. However, there are other words and phrases you can use to expand your vocabulary. Saying I want sometimes can sound demanding or can be impolite. Here are some other ways you can say I want. I could kill for, I could murder, gagging for, gasping for, fancy, crave, itching for, up for, I have my eye on, in the mood for, desire, wish, hope, feel like, long for, fancy. You can also be fancy if you're going out to a fancy restaurant and you're wearing a tuxedo or a suit and you have a bow tie. Someone may say, "Oh, you look fancy." Or the restaurant may be fancy. Maybe there are fancy lights or fancy seating. So this is something which it looks very expensive. It looks like a place where you have to dress up. You will feel, oh wow, this is a very fancy place. It's a very expensive or exclusive place. Do you fancy going out tonight? Do you fancy going to the cinema? I'm going out for a walk. Do you fancy coming? When you say fancy or I fancy doing something, do you fancy doing something? Do you fancy having a takeaway tonight? Maybe you already want something, but you would like someone else to also want that. So it's a friendly way of seeing if the other person is interested. Fancy also has some other meanings. It could mean that you are attracted to someone. You could say, I fancy her, I fancy him, or in a conversation, oh, she fancies you, or he fancies you. Gasping for. This is when you urgently need or want something. When you gasp, it's a sudden intake of air. So you don't have oxygen. You can gasp maybe when you're shocked or when you're surprised. I'm absolutely gasping for a cuppa right now. Or I'm absolutely gasping for a cup of tea right now. Maybe you've been working and you've had a long shift and you haven't had a chance to sit down and relax and have a cup of tea. So you're gasping to have that moment of relaxation. I'm gasping for some fresh air. Let's take a walk right now. Maybe you've been inside the whole day, inside the office. Maybe you're remote working and been inside the house the whole day. So it feels like you're suffocating and you want to get out and have some fresh air. I could kill for. This means that you want something so much that you would do almost anything to get it. I haven't had a pizza in weeks. I could kill for a slice right now. After a long day at work, I could kill for a hot bath and a good book. I'm so hungry, I could kill for a juicy burger and some fries. With this heat, I could kill for an ice-cold lemonade. After being on a diet for months, I could kill for a piece of chocolate cake. If you have been on a diet or restricted your eating, trying to be healthy for months, it can be very, very difficult. And so you may be thinking and dreaming about a chocolate cake. And so it's something that you could kill for. You really, really want to have it. I could murder. So I could murder something. This is usually related to food or drinks, and it's something that you want to have right now. It's been ages since I've had a good cup of coffee. I could murder one right now. After a long day at work, I could murder a pint at the pub. So a pint is a pint glass of alcohol, of beer that you would buy at the pub. So maybe you've had a long day at work and you're looking forward to relaxing, going to the pub and having a drink. I'm so hungry, I could murder a kebab. When you're really, really hungry, you start to think of unhealthy options. So rather than saying, I could murder a salad right now, it would be something unhealthy, murder a kebab. Gagging for. This is something that you are very eager to have or to do. This is a very informal phrase. It's a phrase that you would only use with friends, and you wouldn't say this at work. It's so hot. I'm gagging for an ice cream. I'm gagging for a good laugh. Let's watch a comedy show. I'm gagging for some fresh air. Let's go for a walk. Gagging is when you have something in your throat and you're choking, and so you cannot breathe. If you think about medication, if you're taking a tablet or a pill and you're trying to swallow it and it's getting stuck in your throat, it's hard to breathe. So this action of gagging is something where you are desperate for oxygen. So here, for example, when you are gagging for a laugh, you may be having a bad day, you may be feeling sad, and you want to feel good. So you're desperate to feel good. So you are gagging to watch a comedy show or a movie to feel better. Crave. When you crave something, you have an intense desire for something. I have a craving for chocolate. So it's something that you want right now, even if it's late at night and you have a craving, that craving would take over, and maybe you drive to the petrol station to get that piece of chocolate. I'm craving for pizza. So you have an intense desire. Maybe you've been healthy and you have a cheat day and you think, I have this intense desire to have that pizza. Usually craving is something unhealthy. I wouldn't really have a craving for salad, but I would have a craving for all of the unhealthy food. Pregnant women usually have cravings. They may have cravings again for strange foods or strange combinations. Maybe it's something like a Marmite sandwich, or maybe it's something that they wouldn't usually have. Maybe it's something like fizzy drinks or sweets or snacks. So when you have that craving, it may be something that it's out of character, you don't usually have. Itching for something. So itching is when you are scratching and you have an itch. It's something that you cannot ignore. I remember when I went to the dentist and I had an itch on my arm, and the more that I tried to think, okay, I can't itch because I don't want to disturb the dentist, the more intense the feeling became. So when you have an itch and you scratch the itch, it's something where you feel relieved. So you have this desire to have that. The kids are itching to go outside. Maybe it's raining outside, and so the kids are stuck indoors and they're itching. They can't wait to go outside when the rain has stopped and play outside. He is itching to get back on the pitch. When a footballer has an injury, he has physio, he has rehab, so he cannot play, and it's really frustrating to watch the other players play in the match. So he's itching to get back on the pitch. He can't wait for when he's fully recovered and he can participate in the match with his teammates. He was itching to go for a run. From a personal perspective, I've got back into running and I really enjoy it. And when the weather is bad and I can't run, I feel like I'm itching to just go outside and run. I have my eye on. This means to admire and to want something. I have my eye on that new iPhone. So I'm interested in the phone and it's something that I want, and I'm looking at, I'm thinking about, I'm looking at the specifications, I'm reading the prices, I'm waiting for that perfect moment when I can go and buy it. With summer approaching, I have my eye on booking a fly and flop holiday. A fly and flop holiday is when you go to a destination, usually a beach, and you just flop over on the beach and you can just relax and do nothing and soak in the sunshine and relax on the beach and have total relaxation. Also, if someone has their eye on you, this means that they are watching you very carefully. For example, if a person has been coming in late to work and the manager notices this is a regular occurrence, he may say to the employee, I have my eye on you. So he's watching that person very carefully. This will make the person think, hey, I have to start coming into work early or on time to make sure that I keep my job. Up for, this is an informal way to say that you want something or to see if someone else is interested in doing the same thing. Are you up for playing football? So here is something again that you want, and it would be nice if the other person would also join in, but you don't want to force the other person to feel obliged to say yes. So you're just putting out a feeler. Are you up for playing football? You're giving an invitation for the person to say no if they don't want to. Maybe they're tired or they're just not in the mood. Do you fancy grabbing a curry later? Yeah, I'm up for that. So you're expressing how, yes, I'd want that. I'll be interested in having a curry later. We are going to the cinema later. Do you want to come? Yeah, I'll be up for that. In the mood for. This depends on your emotions, how you are feeling at the time. I'm in the mood for some adventure. I'm in the mood for a walk. So depending on your feeling, you may be feeling a bit bored and you want some excitement and you want some adventure. You may be feeling lazy and you know, okay, I need to get fit. I'm in the mood to go for a walk because I want to feel healthier. You can also be in the mood to do absolutely nothing. Maybe you've had a hard day and you're just in the mood to relax on the couch and watch Netflix or watch a movie. Desire. This is a bit stronger than hope. I desire success in my career. You want to be successful, but you're not sure when this could happen. It could happen tomorrow, but realistically it's at some point in the future. So there are some steps that you have to take. If you desire success, you have to perform well in your job, you have to be promoted, but also success can mean different things to different people. Maybe it means having personal satisfaction, maybe making more money, or having prestige and being at a certain level, but these all take steps. You cannot just snap your fingers and have success. So it's a feeling, it's a desire that you want. I desire to travel the world. So this is something that you want, but again, you have to have some steps in place in order for that to happen. Maybe you need to take some time off work or save up money and plan your destination and plan your itinerary. You have to plan for this in the future. I desire financial freedom. So yes, this is something that you want, but if you're spending more money that you're earning, financial freedom is something which is not very realistic. So yes, you desire it, but you have to make some changes to make that possible. Hope. I hope that I pass my exam tomorrow. I hope that everything goes smoothly with your job interview. I hope I can take a holiday next year. I hope that I can visit Paris this year. In order to visit Paris, it's something that I want, but I need to plan for. I need to make sure that I'm organized in order to make this happen. Wish. This is very formal. I wish I could go for a walk, but it's raining outside. And so you could adapt to the situation, but the circumstances are not perfect. If it was a perfect sunny day, it would be easier to go outside for a walk. I wish I could get a better job. I wish I had more money. This is something hypothetical. You're expressing a possibility. You cannot stop the rain, even though, yes, you wish you could go out for a walk. And you could take an umbrella. If you go to a restaurant and the waiter asks you, what would you like to have? You could say, I wish to have the steak. This is a bit more polite than saying, I want the steak. And the waiter could respond with, as you wish, sir. I feel like This is informal and it's driven by your emotions and your feelings. So I feel like watching a movie and having some popcorn. After a long day at work, I feel like treating myself and having a nice meal. I feel like popping into town and doing some shopping. I feel like you're thinking about how you feel at that moment in time. Maybe you are feeling bored or sad and you want to get rid of these feelings or do something more positive to make yourself feel better. Long for. This is when you've had a strong desire for something that you've had for a long time. I long for the chance to reconnect with old friends. Maybe your friends have moved to a different part of the country or the world. Maybe they've had children and they're in a different stage of their life. So you've lost touch. So it's nice to reconnect with your friends. And it may be something that you've been thinking about for a long time, but life gets in the way and you haven't had that chance to pick up the phone and call them. So you have to just say, right, I'm going to call them right now. So it's something that you've been thinking about for a long time. I long for the opportunity to pursue my hobbies. Maybe you're in a job that takes up a lot of time. You may not like the job, or even if you do like the job, maybe you have other hobbies outside of work like art or music. And when you were younger, you had time to invest in these hobbies, but now you don't. So you're longing for the time when you have the opportunity, maybe a holiday, and you can spend more time on these hobbies. I long for the day when I can travel the world. Maybe you've been thinking about traveling the world or going somewhere and you've been thinking about it for a long time. It's something which has been festering in your mind and you're thinking about it, and you're waiting for that time to arrive when you can travel. I long for the time when I don't have to work. Maybe you have to wait until you retire, which depending on your age can be a long time from now. I'm longing for the day when I can have a good night's sleep. Maybe you've got young children and they're waking up throughout the night and you remember the time when you could sleep and have a good night's sleep. And so you're longing for that time when they get a bit older and then you can sleep throughout the night. In the comments below, let me know what you thought about this lesson. Please click on the like button. If you are new here, click on the subscribe button. Hello, how are you today? I hope you're well. My name is Harry and this is Learn English with British Harry. I am British and I have taught thousands of students. Today, I'm going to go through the 5 biggest mistakes people make when learning English. The first mistake is focusing too much on grammar. It's being too fixated on having the perfect grammar. Grammar is very important, but sometimes you can be too focused on having the perfect grammar, in particular high-level grammar. So I would focus on the basics. For example, if you are learning the past tense, try to incorporate that, try to use that in your daily life. Try to talk about the past, what I did yesterday. Try to write down what I did yesterday and try to look for the grammatical errors. A tip I would give you is to think about your prepositions. Are you using these correctly? For example, rather than saying, I go holiday, I go party on Saturday, think about how you can improve that. So, I am going on holiday. I am going to the party on Saturday. This helps to give more information to the other person and it helps you to be better understood. That's the whole idea of learning English, is not to be perfect, is to make sure that the other person can understand what you are talking about. And over time, it's very natural to improve your grammar. Mistake number 2 is fear of making mistakes. Making mistakes is wonderful. You really want to be making lots of mistakes. I think that failure equals growth. So you may think, oh, I'm failing, I'm not getting this correct, but really you are growing. It's a step-by-step process. It really helps to change your mindset to have a growth mindset rather than a failure mindset. If you are scared of making mistakes and feeling embarrassed, remember that you learn the most when you make a mistake. And now you can see how to improve. Try and practice in a safe environment with a teacher, with friends, with family. If you are unable to speak with a native English speaker, you can try to record yourself and you can listen back and watch back and notice any mistakes. Even if you are unable to spot your mistakes or notice your mistakes, keep trying, keep learning, and over time you will pick up on these. Mistake number 3 is lack of consistent practice. You need to keep practicing English. It's like any skill. It's like going to the gym. If you go to the gym initially, you will get these newbie gains, which are beginner improvements. But then as you start to get tired or you don't want to go, your progress will start to decline. So really try to keep to a schedule, even if it's 10 or 15 minutes a day. Go through my channel, see if there are any videos that you like, and especially in the comments, you can let me know if there are any videos you would like me to make for you. If your interest or your motivation starts to decline, remember that motivation can go up and it can go down. But having a schedule, having a system can help you to reach your goal faster. If that means studying for 10 minutes in the morning or 10 minutes on the train or on the bus to work, or when you get home, 10 minutes at home. Try thinking in English. This is very helpful. You can also download my free ebook, which gives you very good practical tips that you can use to help you improve. Think about how you can interact with English. Think about your hobbies, your interests, and how can I do these in English? For example, I love football. I support Arsenal and I listen to Arsenal podcasts and I find it engaging. I find it interesting. So think about your hobbies and try to do those in English. This will make it more fun and interesting. And so you are more likely to have that consistency. Mistake number 4 is having an over-reliance on your native language. It's very easy to want to translate from your native language into English. A way around this is to immerse yourself in English. Whatever level you are, I recommend keeping a book or a journal. And when you come across words that you don't know in English, yes, you have to translate it, but then put that into your active memory. Try to use that word straight away. Use it as often as you can. If you are at a beginner level, I suggest sticking post-it notes or pieces of paper on objects all around your house. You write these words in English, so you're reminded of these words in English. Listen to English podcasts, English radio. Even if you are in a different country, there are radio apps and you can listen to talk radio. For example, some good ones are LBC, which is very good. It's a very good British talk radio station. And TV shows, movies. When you are reading things, read English newspapers online. This way you are immersing yourself in the English language. Also, start to think in English. There is a useful game that I have in my free ebook, and I really recommend that you try that. Mistake number 5 is ignoring pronunciation and intonation. These are very important. If you are learning vocabulary, you can put the word into Google and you can listen to the pronunciation and also the stress on the syllable. In some of my lessons, I also incorporate this to help you to understand where to put the stress. A lot of these mistakes are connected. It's like a domino effect. So to improve your intonation and pronunciation, you can record yourself, listen back, immerse yourself in English. As you are listening to more English speakers, you pick up on this certain type of rhythm. Even in the UK, there are so many different types of accents. They are very different from one city to another. I have a general London accent, but as you go up north, you will notice that the accent is different. So the more that you immerse yourself by watching TV shows and listening to speakers, you will start to notice the differences. You will notice the rhythm and the pitch and the tone and where to put the stress. And here, remember, don't try to be perfect. You can make mistakes. It's a good thing to make mistakes. See it as a game. Imagine a child that's learning a language. They're not afraid to make mistakes because it's part of the process. We understand as adults, it's part of the process. We are not laughing at them or telling them off and demanding that they say this word perfectly. It takes time. It's a skill. Remember to check out my ebook that I have made for you. There are some excellent practical exercises you can try to help you to improve your level of English. Hello, my name is Harry and this is Learn English with British Harry. How are you today? I hope you're well. Today we're going to learn 10 must-know English idioms to help you to sound like a native speaker. To keep a stiff upper lip. This means to be brave and keep calm in a difficult situation. When someone starts to cry, their top lip starts to quiver. It starts to move slightly. So to have a stiff upper lip means to keep it still. This idiom is very common in the UK. You also have the phrase to keep calm and carry on. So when you have a stiff upper lip, you are not complaining about something and you're just carrying on with something. Sometimes this is not always the best thing. If you are struggling, sometimes it's a good thing to ask for help. You don't always want to have a stiff upper lip. Here are some example sentences. Even when the company faced financial difficulties, the CEO kept a stiff upper lip and this motivated the staff. So because he kept a stiff upper lip, he remained brave. He showed that the problems and the difficulties didn't affect him. During the storm, she kept a stiff upper lip and this reassured people around her. So she didn't panic. She kept a stiff upper lip. She was brave and she didn't let her emotions overcome her. Maybe she was feeling scared, but she hid those feelings and other people felt calm being around her. To have a chinwag. This means to have a conversation and it's very informal. We had a lovely chinwag over a cup of tea, catching up with all the news. So here maybe there are friends that haven't seen each other for a while and they sit down and they have a friendly conversation. After not seeing each other for years, they sat down for a good chinwag. So again, if you're having a conversation, it's usually light-hearted, a chinwag. Cost an arm and a leg. This is when something is very expensive. Renovating the house cost an arm and a leg, but it was worth it. So here, the person spent a lot of money renovating the house, doing the house up, and it was very, very expensive. It cost an arm and a leg. So in this case, an arm and a leg would refer to the money that he had to give. That designer suit cost an arm and a leg, but it was worth it for the wedding. So here the suit was very, very expensive, but he thought it was worthwhile. So on one hand, it was very expensive, but on the other hand, it was worth it because he went to the wedding and it's something which doesn't happen all the time and he felt really good about it. Hit the nail on the head. If you have a hammer and a nail and you hit the nail, this means that you are describing the situation or the problem exactly. You're very accurate in your description. Maybe you're at work and there's a project that didn't do so well, and it could have been because you needed to do something specific. So someone could say you needed to allocate more time to this specific area. So they described the problem very accurately. Jump on the bandwagon. This means to join something that is already popular. After seeing its success, the other companies jumped on the bandwagon and started to use the technology. So maybe there's something like AI and a company is using it and getting a lot of success. So another company may say, I see their success. I'm going to try the same technology. Maybe there's a brand of phone or laptop that everyone is using. And so then you jump on the bandwagon and you buy the same device. So in a way, you don't want to miss out. You don't want to have FOMO, which is fear of missing out. So you jump on the bandwagon and join something that is already popular. Straight from the horse's mouth. What? What horse? Don't worry about the rumors. I got the information straight from the horse's mouth. Maybe there are rumors going around which is false information, but you go directly to the original person and then ask them what they meant. He heard it straight from the horse's mouth that the transfer is going to happen. Maybe there's a football team and they're looking to sign a player, and again there's information in the media and it's not very accurate. You don't know who to believe, so you can go directly to the manager and ask from the horse's mouth which player they are going to sign. To be in the dog house. This means to be in trouble. He is in the doghouse with his wife for forgetting their anniversary. So he's in big trouble. He forgot about the anniversary. He forgot to buy a present, and now he's in trouble. So here, the doghouse, if you think about a kennel, which is a house for a dog, generally outside the house. So he has to go somewhere uncomfortable. I'm in the doghouse at work for missing that deadline. So here, he's in trouble with his boss, with his manager, because he missed the deadline and it affected the company. To be in the doghouse is a very informal idiom to use, to take with a pinch of salt. This is a very popular idiom in the UK. This means to not completely believe what you are told. You should take his advice with a pinch of salt. He doesn't always have the best judgment. So someone may be giving you advice, and take it with a pinch of salt, because this is just their opinion and they may not make the best decisions. So it's better for you to think about the decision, evaluate, look at all the different options, weigh up the pros and cons, and then decide. She told me an unbelievable story, but I took it with a pinch of salt. So here, someone may tell you a story, and in the media, you get a lot of fake news. So some of your friends may send you information or stories on WhatsApp or Facebook, and it's a story which is unbelievable. But take it with a pinch of salt. You need to verify, you need to fact check to see if that story is true. To be all ears. This means to be very eager and ready to listen to someone. So if you think about, here we have ears. If you are all ears, this means that you are really receptive, really responsive. You're paying attention to what the other person is saying. I'm all ears if you have any suggestions on how to improve the project. So here he is ready to listen to ideas. He really wants to improve the project, so he's all ears. He wants to hear some suggestions and take everything on board. So he wants to have the information. When she started to tell her story, everyone in the room was all ears. Here, everyone is really excited to listen to the story. They're paying attention. They don't care about anything else. They're all ears. Break the ice. This is used to relieve any tension or to get the conversation started. It can help when the situation seems a bit awkward. She used a funny joke when she was at the party. A few games at the beginning of the workshop helped to break the ice. So here there are new people, they haven't met each other before, and they're in a new environment. So playing these games, it breaks the ice, it relieves any awkwardness, and people can get to know each other quickly. These idioms are really useful to improve your English vocabulary. I suggest watching the video a few times to listen to the explanation and write down some of your own examples. Have a book or write it on your phone or in Google Docs, for example, and review it regularly. So by writing new sentences, it helps you to have a connection with these idioms. And the more that you can practice, the better you will become. Try to use one idiom during the day. Even if you make a mistake or use it in the wrong context, you're still learning. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of this video.
Hello wonderful students, how are you today? I hope you're well. My name is Harry, I'm British and I've helped thousands of students to improve their level of English. Improving your English speaking skills can help you in many areas of your life, whether you're studying for an exam, for career progression, if you're looking to move to an English speaking country, or simply if you want to travel and improve your general knowledge of English. I have created a fantastic free ebook for you. This includes 5 practical ways that you can improve your English speaking straight away. The link is in the description and it's absolutely free for you to download. If you know these 15 words, your British English is amazing. I will tell you the word and try to think of the meaning. Then I will give you a sentence and you can try to guess the word, and then I will give you the actual meaning. Gobbledygook. Gobbledygook. The consultant's report was full of gobbledygook that left the team more confused than before. Can you guess the meaning of gobbledygook? Gobbledygook is language that is meaningless and hard to understand. We have the schwa sound here, as in a gobbledygook. So gobbledygook is when something is very difficult and hard to understand. Someone is talking gibberish. If someone is describing something full of jargon, you could say that is all gobbledygook to me. So jargon refers to technical terms. If we think about YouTube, for example, you have things like click-through rate and you have views. And to someone that doesn't understand these technical terms, it can be confusing. So to them, it's meaningless until they understand the meaning of these technical words. Kerfuffle, kerfuffle. There was a bit of a kerfuffle at the office when the new seating arrangements were announced, where people arguing over which seat they should have. Kerfuffle. We have the sound here, the schwa sound, kerfuffle, kerfuffle. A kerfuffle is a noisy argument, especially one caused by conflicting views. So here, people were upset about their chairs. Maybe they have a favorite position, maybe it's close to the exit, or it has a good view. So there was a kerfuffle, there was a noisy argument about who should sit where. There was a commotion at the party when someone spilt their drink. So someone must have been a bit tipsy and they spilt their drink and it went everywhere, and there was a kerfuffle about who spilt the drink and whose fault it was. Next up is a very interesting one. It is codswallop. What does this mean? Let me give you an example sentence. Don't listen to his excuses about why he's late. It's all codswallop. Can you guess the meaning? Codswallop means something that is nonsense. It's not true. Maybe he made up some excuses about why he was late. If he said the train was late, that would have been believable, but maybe the train has been late every day for 6 months. So, and you could check and you could see, but the train was on time. So it's all codswallop, it's all nonsense, it's not true. The idea that the company could double its profits in a month without any changes is pure codswallop. It's codswallop to believe that you can run a marathon with 1 day of training. So it's something which is unbelievable. It's just nonsense. This is a very interesting one. A brouhaha. What is a brouhaha? The celebrity's unexpected outburst led to a media brouhaha. A brouhaha is a noisy and overexcited reaction to something. So the celebrity's outburst, maybe they lost the plot and said something outrageous or destroyed a reporter's camera. It led to a media brouhaha. So everyone in the media got excited because they could tell this story to the public, and they were overly excited about this. The announcement of the new policy caused a brouhaha among the employees who were upset about this. Maybe their salary was cut and it caused a brouhaha. So here there's a noisy reaction. So they're expressing their concerns, even though they are not excited as in being happy, they are raising their voices about this new policy. Higgledy-piggledy. Higgledy-piggledy. What does this mean? The children's toys were scattered higgledy-piggledy across the living room, making it impossible to walk without stepping on something. Higgledy-piggledy means disorderly or chaotic. The stress is on the first syllable higgledy-piggledy. The children's toys are everywhere. They're not organized. It's just chaos. And so it's very difficult to walk without stepping on something and hurting your foot. The papers on his desk were arranged higgledy-piggledy, reflecting the chaos of his work schedule. So his work, his papers, they were everywhere because he just felt he had too much to do. He was under a lot of stress, and his desk was just very disorderly. It was chaos. Skive. He decided to skive off work on Friday for the long weekend without telling his manager. Skive means to avoid work or duty by staying away or leaving early. If you keep skiving off school, you will fall behind on your coursework. So if you keep missing school, you'll miss out on important lessons and you'll fall behind and you may eventually fail. Bodge. This is a very interesting word to say, bodge. Instead of doing a proper job, he bodged the installation, which caused more problems later. To bodge means to make or repair something in a clumsy or makeshift way. So maybe it was a boiler and the person he bodged the installation. So he didn't install the boiler properly and it led to more problems later. The temporary repair was a bit of a bodge, but it got the job done until we could repair it later. Maybe you have a flat tire and you put a patch on the tire and have a temporary solution. So it's a bodge job until you can get the tire replaced. Mull. She decided to mull over the job offer before making her decision. You got it? Mull means to think about something deeply. After mulling over the proposal for several days, he came to a conclusion about the project. Maybe you have to choose a new supplier at work and you have many options, so you have to mull over, you have to think about what is the best option to choose. Doddle. The exam was a complete doddle. I finished the exam in half the time I had expected. Doddle is something that is very easy to do. So the exam was very easy because I prepared very hard for the exam and I finished it in half of the time that I expected it to take. Fixing the washing machine was a complete doddle with the help of watching a YouTube video and the correct tools. Even if something seems very difficult, it can become a doddle by having more experience or having the right knowledge. Gormless. He looked gormless after struggling to explain how he lost his third phone in a week. Gormless means foolish, lacking intelligence, or lacking common sense. Another informal word, poppycock. Poppycock. The idea that we could solve this problem overnight is just poppycock. It's going to take much longer. Poppycock means something that is untrue, that is nonsense or silly. In this case, thinking that you can solve climate change overnight is just ridiculous. It's going to take a lot longer, but with small steps, it can happen. But making these claims is poppycock. His claims about the financial status about the company was dismissed as poppycock by the analysts. So maybe someone was making claims that the company was not making as much money as expected, or were not projected to be making as much money in the future. And the analyst said, this is absurd, this is untrue, it's ridiculous, it's poppycock. Twee. Twee. What does this mean? Let me give you an example sentence. The cafe's decor was a bit too much for my taste, with its frilly curtains and vintage cups. Twee means something that is very cute or sweet, but it may be a bit too much for some people. In this case, I think the cafe, the decor, is quite nice. Having frilly curtains and nice cups, it adds to the decor, but for some people, it could be too much. Her sentimental speech was touching, but it bordered on the twee with an overload of cliches. Her speech was very good, but she used too many cliches. Cliches are phrases or words that are overly used, and so they can show a lack of originality. Things like at the end of the day or better late than never. Beeline. Beeline. When she saw her friend across the crowded room, she made a beeline for her to catch up quickly. Beeline means to go directly towards something with speed and determination. So she saw her friend and she made a beeline. She didn't walk around the room. She went straight through the room because it was the quickest way to reach her friend, and so she could catch up with her very quickly. Sus. Sus. It took me a while to suss out how the software works, but now I'm comfortable using it. Sus is an informal word that means to figure something out or to understand something. I didn't know how to use the software, I didn't understand it, but I sussed it out. I figured it out, I eventually understood how it worked and was able to use the new software. Penchant. Penchant. She has a penchant for collecting rare books. Penchant means a strong liking for something or a tendency to do something. It's a word borrowed from French. In American English, it would be pronounced as penchant, but in British English, it closely resembles the French pronunciation. It's not exact, so it's penchant. He has a penchant for silk ties. So he doesn't like normal ties. They have to be silk, which is more expensive. So he has a strong liking for that type of material. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Let me know in the comments below how many of these you knew, how many you didn't. And remember, you can download my free ebook. The link is in the description below. This contains 5 amazing tips to help you to improve your level of English straight away. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next lesson. Bye-bye.